know Giselle's not an official Disney princess, but where'd she rank if she was? What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm talking about Disenchanted, the long-awaited sequel for 2007's Enchanted. This is a movie that went directly to Disney+. You got Amy Adams back, but does this movie hold up? How does it compare to the original? I'm going to tell you guys that in a second. But before I do, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below your thoughts on this movie, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified for all of my future videos. So I rewatched Enchanted and rolled directly into Disenchanted. And I'll go ahead and get this out of the way. It's not as good as Enchanted, but it's still a very worthy sequel in my opinion. There was a lot to enjoy in this movie, and it definitely captures the same vibes and feel of the first. It almost ups the ante in my opinion, because this movie goes for it. It commits to a new plot that feels fresh. It doesn't feel like a lot of, legacy sequels where it just repeats the plot of the first. No. This is a completely new plot, and I have to give credit to that. A lot of the times, especially with like direct-to-streaming sequels, you'll just get a retread of the original. That's not the case here. They go grander here in scale. You've got massive musical numbers where they've got huge choreography going on in the background. Now, obviously, the first Enchanted movie has some musical numbers that are memorable, and they kind of call back to those through certain songs in this, but there are entirely new songs here with a lot of different people getting the time to shine, especially from the vocal department. We've got Idina Menzel singing her lungs out in this. There's one moment in particular where I was like, how is it humanly possible to go that high? And then I remembered Into the Unknown, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. It's also funny because when I was rewatching Enchanted with my girlfriend, we were talking about how Idina Menzel doesn't even sing in that movie, and she sings like 2 or 3 songs here, which makes sense because her fame from Frozen has obviously skyrocketed her, and that was Disney, and this is a Disney property, so it just makes sense. But yeah, it was able to reinvent the original concept in a really fresh way. Amy Adams crushes it. She didn't miss a beat when it comes to performances, Giselle. And we got Patrick Dempsey back, and the man didn't age at all. In fact, he aged like fine wine. People always love to say Paul Rudd aged like fine wine. Patrick Dempsey looks exactly the same as he did in 2007 with a little bit of gray in his hair. And like I mentioned, you've got a lot of the original actors coming back, and the thing that I admire so much about this is how you can just tell they're having an absolute blast in the role. A lot of times these actors are doing draining, serious roles. This is a fun time because the actors have such a fun presence on screen. I don't know if they got along well when the cameras weren't rolling. I'm gonna assume they were, because damn, it seems like they had a blast doing this. Amy Adams just in that whimsical role. You can't help but smile, watching her sing and dance. Definitely got that Disney charm, that Disney magic that the first one had. And perhaps my favorite aspect of this movie was how there were so many Easter eggs planted to different fairy tales and Disney movies all throughout. It was almost like a big puzzle or an I Spy game where you could probably pause it and try and pick out different frames or mentions in the background. That's what that's referring to, and this is a cool nod to this Disney movie. And oh, look at this fairy tale making an appearance here. In many ways, it's like a multiverse movie for all the Disney and fairy tales, and I don't want to give too much away. It's not really a multiverse movie, but if you know, you know. Now with that being said, it is a fresh concept when compared to the original Enchanted, but it also is a familiar story we've sort of seen before. If you guys have watched like the Santa Claus 3 Escape Clause, the plot is very similar to that, where someone may or may not do something that they regret, and it becomes a race against time to try and get back to normality. That's sort of the plot here. That is essentially a plot we've seen a lot in kids' movies especially, so it's nothing like groundbreaking original, but it definitely succeeds in taking the vibes and feel-good nature of the first Enchanted movie and transferring it directly here. Maya Rudolph is also in this movie, as well as some other famous actors from TV shows that are kind of her companions. And I wasn't like blown away by any of their performances or their actual purpose in the movie. They almost just felt like pawns for the main story involving Giselle. Now, as much as I enjoy this movie and definitely was able to smile throughout it, I also have my fair share of certain issues. One in particular, distractingly bad CGI. Now, I was able to watch this movie early, and I'm not sure if it's going to be patched up by the time that it's fully out on Disney+, but you can noticeably see Amy Adams' hair looks fake a lot of the times. In fact, I slowed it down and went frame by frame, and there's moments where you can see it looks like her real hair, and then it looks CGI polished, and her hair is literally glitching, and it became distracting in a lot of the musical numbers and different scenes. My logic is maybe Amy Adams had to like dye her hair for a different role, so they had to kind of CGI make it more bright, vibrant red in certain scenes, and that's like why it kind of goes back and forth. But if you guys didn't notice it, you will definitely notice it now, unless they somehow patch it and fixed it. And again, I'm filming this before the movie is out publicly. I will not be surprised if this becomes like a viral thing on Twitter Twitter, if Twitter's still around, or on social media where like everyone is like, what the hell's going on with Giselle's hair in this movie? Because it was distractingly bad. And again, there were moments where the CGI was questionable. It's like they saved all their budget for this one scene near the end of the movie and everything else is like, what? That doesn't really affect the overall narrative. It's just something that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. The movie's also almost 2 hours long, which again, not really necessary here. I'm not really crazy about the subplot in this movie. The daughter Morgan has a lot to do here, and a lot of her moments, especially with this other character who are introduced, it's like interest is definitely waning there. You'll probably check out a few times in the movie. There's a lot of predictable elements in the actual plot here. And like I mentioned, a lot of the musical numbers upped the scale for sure, but not for the better in my opinion. They can somewhat become prolonged and take away from the actual narrative, and you can be like, okay, let's wrap this thing up and get back to the story here. And by the time the movie wrapped up, I had a smile on my face, and again, that's all I really wanted this movie to be, is a fun little escapism back into this enchanted world. By no means is this movie near as good as the first, but it's still a decent enough follow-up. I had a fun time, and at the end of the day, the movie probably was not necessary. A lot of sequels we get nowadays aren't. And like the journey the characters go on in this movie doesn't alter my view of like Giselle and Robert's relationship and their family that drastically. Like from the ending of Enchanted to the ending of Disenchanted, it's not like there was this huge groundbreaking journey everyone went on of self-discovery. So like it wasn't crazy, but obviously they just wanted to make a sequel and I get it. So at the end of the day, I was pleased with Disenchanted. I'm not sure how the masses are going to react to this movie. The comparisons to the first are going to be inevitable. The first one almost has a classic childhood feel to it, so of course that one is better than this in my opinion, but this is still able to retain a lot of the feel-good vibes and charm from the first. We didn't get enough James Marsden in my opinion. I think they should have utilized him a little bit more because he is just such a great character in this franchise, but any scene that he's in, he crushes it. If you like the first Enchanted, you will definitely enjoy this movie to some degree, and I honestly wouldn't be opposed to them making another sequel. I don't know what they would put in front of Enchanted. Re-Enchanted maybe? More Enchanted? I don't know what they could say, but Trace Enchanted, because the third one, I don't even know if that makes sense, but you never know. We'll probably get a third one sometime down the line. Everyone was just happy to be back here, and I know the movie went through a lot of reshoots, and it was sort of noticeable at times, but I still dug this for what it was. But what do you guys think of Disenchanted? Let me know in the comments down below, and be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified for all of my future reviews, reactions, rankings, and all that good stuff. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.